Every year we continue to grow. In 1 week, I think I'd produced around 131 or 2,000 tonne of meals over a 5-day period.
Michael Robertson is the managing director and owner of JL King & Co., a family-owned food manufacturing and distribution business based here in Bendigo. They were the business of the year in 2024. He's joined by Marc Smith today, the recently appointed CFO, and this episode is full of really interesting stories and great insight into what it takes to run and grow a business that's capable of producing more than 2 million meals a week. So strap in, and I hope you enjoy it. Michael, Marc, thank you so much for both joining me in the studio today. It's very cool to have you both here.
We're absolutely rapt to be here today. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Caleb.
Yeah, my pleasure. So let's just start with what your business is and what it looks like currently, like the top line version, someone who's never heard of JL King or Simply Tasty.
Yeah, so JL King was a produce business. It's been in Bendigo for many, many years, over a century, in fact, early 1900s. It was run by the King family through to the 1960s and then taken over by the Quinn family in Bendigo during that time. And it was a partnership between Stan and Norm. So Stan and Norm worked, their father had multiple fruit shops in and around Bendigo for many years. And obviously Norm was well known for being over the road from where we're sitting here today.
Yes, Quinn's Fruit Shop. I remember that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, straight over the road from here, which is a bit ironic. But Norm obviously spent, 20, 30 years in there in his little shop just serving local people of Bendigo for many, many years. The guys moved the wholesale business into Broome Street during the late 70s, and they operated out of there. Stan ran a fruit shop plus the wholesale, and Norm kept his retail. My journey into the business was working with my father in a fruit shop and out the other side of Bendigo at Strathdale, and we used to go to King's and purchase produce, and then we eventually started going to the market. So we were sort of working at opposite ends, sort of competing, I suppose, with JL King. And then it was just one day out of the blue, I got a phone call from Norm and said, come and have a chat. And I met Norm and Stan down across the road, and they said, why don't you think about taking over the business? Stan wants to go to Noosa. And he was going into some management rights. He was taking a different direction. So they were going to part ways. So that was my lead-in into the business. So,
as a competitor?
As a competitor.
Love it.
Yeah, so that was it. That was in 1997 was when I first got involved. It was 8-pallet little Hino truck that used to run to the market twice a week. We used to have one staff that used to answer phones and do reception, and back then we had the old docket books. So it was, if you wanted one cabbage, you had to write one cabbage in a docket book and get the calculator out at the end and add it all up, and then end of the month you used to have to calculate all the accounts. It was very different, obviously, to what we see today. But and there was 3 other staff and market twice a week and just distributing, to local restaurants and hotels and milk bars and so on through Bendigo.
Wow. And so compared to that, and we'll dive into some of the early challenges and the growth story in more detail, but compared to what it started as, what does it look like now?
Today we sit at around 150. We're 150 to 60 people at any one time.
Yep.
We have a warehouse in the Epping market now, so we're down there every night.
Yep.
So we run semis down there every night. We obviously manufacturing a lot of food now. So whether that be processed vegetables or whether it's a salad or a ready meal, whether bulk or pre-pack, and that's distributed. We go as far as Cairns, across as far as Broome, stores in Broome, down to Esperance and into Hobart. So basically covering the whole of Australia. We have customers in every state in Australia at the moment.
Wow, that's absolutely phenomenal. Let's dive into a little bit of the story of the development of manufacturing. So how did you get from wholesale retail to having such a widespread footprint in manufacturing and distribution of your own products?
Yeah, so it was really customer led. We were lucky enough to get some good support by some local independent supermarkets around Bendigo, and there was a store out at Kangaroo Flat. We were supplying vegetables in, and one day we were basically asked, is there can you slice and dice cabbage? Can you make coleslaw? So if coleslaw turns into coleslaw into wet coleslaw, then we'll cook potatoes. All of a sudden we're cooking potatoes. Then so still in the fruit and veg, but then we had a chef involved, and we were working out of Moama by this time, and he come in and he said, well, let's try and we'll do some pasta. So then we'll cover the main, the staples in that.
Yeah.
And we just sort of, the range grew from there.
Wow.
We were doing a lot of stuff into delis, but the supermarkets really led us into that pre-pack range. So I remember the first pre-pack range we put out, we put wet salads into a container with a snap-on lid, not actually even because we didn't have sealing machines at that time. And then they'd go onto the shelf and they said, well, how do we actually stop the mayonnaise from running all over our shelves? I said, yeah, well, that's probably not going to work that well. We're probably going to have to put a seal over them. So
yes.
So that really it was a lot of it was customer led.
Yeah.
So just listening to what they wanted and their needs at that time.
Oh, I love it. And so, Marc, tell me, what's your entry been into the business and what it looks like right now?
Yeah, so I've only been there 4 weeks, or this is the 4th week now,
Nice.
but it's been really good because I've had a manufacturing background to put a different lens over sort of walking in and looking at what the systems and processes are and seeing what we can actually do. Obviously, from that larger scale manufacturing, there's lots of opportunities and that you sort of walk around and identify, and people are looking at improvements all the time. But if we can just sort of upscale those and make things better, it's around sort of getting that best result, because what we're essentially doing, especially with the pre-made salads and meals, is trying to get chef quality products out to the market.
Yeah.
And when you talk about you had one chef earlier on, you've now got 9, I think, chefs at the moment, and you're sitting there trying to do that on a much larger scale. So it's really interesting to sort of see how it's grown. And the organisation now, as a massive building out there, there's a lot of people in the office. Everyone is just running around trying to work out what they're doing and all that sort of stuff. So they've got a whole customer service team. You've got your accounts. You've got QA, all of that sort of stuff, all sitting there very busy trying to make sure that we can get the product through in the best way we can. As Michael said, we've got 150 to 160 staff across 3 different shifts, including weekends and stuff as well. So you've got day shift, afternoon shift and night shift, trying to get the fresh fruit and vegetables, the pre-made salads and all that sort of stuff all out, and trying to meet all the customers' orders. So it's just a massive scale of economy, and it's really, really interesting to sort of come in there and see how it's all done and sit there and go, okay, well, yeah, we're doing things really well, but how can we do things better? And sort of getting that different lens over it and saying, okay, well, we want to make these improvements and we want to look at how we can do things better. And that's what it's been. The first few weeks is just sort of going through and identifying things there and working a bit on the finance side of things, getting the costings, tightening them up a little bit,
Nice.
to make sure that we're delivering the best cost-effective way for our customers and that as well.
Love it. Gentlemen, before we dive deeper into the nuts and bolts and the backstory, tell me what is the vision from here? You've scaled from quite a simple operation a long time ago to a far more complex one now. Where is it going?
For me, we're currently sitting at start of year 3 in the new facility. Where we was become really hard to manage, and volume we were always restricted around customers and what we could produce and try and meet demands. Meeting demands was really challenging.
Yeah.
So now we've sort of scaled up, obviously to grow the business. So I have no foreseeable plans to exit. I'm only looking onwards and upwards from here.
Nice.
Although recognise the new facility is been a much more or bigger challenge than I ever would have expected.
Yeah.
Especially when we started out, because we started out at a level at a budget to build a facility, and COVID changed a lot of things.
Whoa.
So COVID changed not only sales, so demand for sales was continuing to grow at alarming rates at that time because people couldn't eat out. So people's appetite for convenience meals was really was going through the roof.
Yeah.
So we had to take sort of a bit of a left turn halfway through building the facility and really upscale equipment to meet demands.
Yep.
So which obviously blew a budget of what we originally thought we'd spend. We went about 400% over budget in building the facility. So
What a joy.
yeah, so that was challenging in itself. Although we were hoping for some government grants during that time too to sort of keep it to help us keep the project going. We did apply for some and unfortunately missed out, which was a bit disappointing at the time because it was a pretty large investment we were taking on. So
Yeah.
but the vision for us here really is to now, keep growing the brand. We'd love to see our brand in a major retailer. The independent supermarkets have been so good to our business for so long. We're probably supplying 80% of them nationally.
Wow.
With some with a couple of products, but we've got 70 odd products in our range. So some may buy 30 to 40 products in the. So it's varying depending on the size of the store and what their throughput looks like. But we're sort of keen to keep growing the brand, and then hopefully we can build the brand and get it into more retailers and be able to grow growth and volume through the business that way. Obviously, as we can do that, we'll grow. We'll grow a bit more into the facility, and we can, also we'll create a lot more job opportunities for people in the future as well.
Yeah. So tell me about this journey of building this new facility. You had a bit of a vision at the start, but tell me about the capability and capacity that it has. And will it be home for the next foreseeable future?
Yeah, so it's probably running, it will require, so as the project grew, probably we scaled back on some of the stuff from an automation point of view. So some of the stuff that were probably nice to have but we could get away with, we took out and made sure that we captured all the main things at that time of what we needed, and that was to meet demands, so the volume that was required. So we'll still need, the future will still need to keep, bringing in new equipment to be able to scale up. Although I believe at the moment, besides some ceiling constraints around some bottlenecks there, but our throughput from a cooking point of view, we're probably at 40-50%, so we could really double that throughput
very comfortably.
Yep.
Yeah, from a footprint perspective, especially.
Yep.
So what does it look like, really, to embark on the journey? Just cast your mind back. What does it look like to embark on a journey and have a project blow out 400%? That would be incredibly stressful. How do you manage that, and what kind of did you learn in that process that you think you wish you had have known beforehand?
If I wish I had have known that beforehand, I don't know whether I would have done it. That's probably.
Yeah.
But once you've sort of get 50% of the way through, it's a little bit hard to change your mind. So, Oh, look, I wouldn't say I wouldn't have done it, but I would have. Yeah, I would have probably looked at some other alternatives around rather than me doing it myself and my family. And that's, we are proud that we are still a Bendigo. I was born and bred here in Bendigo, and so is my wife. So, we're Bendigo people, and it's been a pretty big project just for us to take on our own, and big journey. But we've enjoyed it. It's probably been, in my nearly 30 years in business, I've got no doubt my last 2 years has been my most challenging.
Yeah.
But you over the years, you do go through years of where there is challenges. Just a matter of sitting back, thinking about where you're at, and working your way through them. So.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's amazing to think of the way you would have had to have shifted the plan, right, at 100 different ways because of a lot of different pressures and inputs that you were experiencing at the time. So when was the original project for that new facility started? Was it pre-COVID?
Yeah, 2017 we purchased the land.
Really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah, late in 2017, and we went to where we are in Brickworks Road, and at the time it was about probably 70% sold. So it wasn't a settle any type of land there. It was pick what you wanted. So it was great setup, and so we went, we'll take 5 acres approximately and build. You know, we always had in our mind we wanted to get to around that 4,000 square metre factory plus administration.
Yep.
But yeah, that's when it started.
And when did you move in? When did you start operation in there?
We've officially completely moved in January 2024. 23? We'd start year 3.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Is it 23 or 24? Yeah, right. There
Yeah,
you go. I've lost track already.
As we said, the last 2 years have gone very difficult.
Wow.
It's
roller coaster, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so let's just dive back into a little bit of the growth story. I love that you said that most of the growth of the business has been customer led, and especially into the prepackaged and products range. What is it? Has there ever been a moment in the growth journey where you felt like it hasn't been you haven't been pulled and up to meeting demand, but you've taken a bit of a risk in pushing forward when there may not have been there? Or has it always been a demand far outpaces?
I'd say now we've probably been, last 12 months has probably been, and look, there's a lot of different things going on. There is a cost of pressure living that people are experiencing right now. And generally, I think businesses are doing it a lot. It's tough out there. So, you know, we're seeing, you know, a lot higher taxes and a lot of higher input costs, electricity, you know, everything continually rising. So for us, I think the last 12 months, we've probably seen things just slightly flatten out a little bit. Prior to that, we were always chasing our tails. It was growth, you know, growth when we took it over. Like I said, it was, you know, was 3 staff, and I think our revenue for us back then was 600,000. So it's a lot different makeup today. Yeah, it's quite substantially different.
Yeah.
And I think from that side of things, as you're saying there, with the cost optimization, that's going to be one of my focuses moving forward, because when you look at the scale of the business, it's grown, and you look at the cost of electricity and things like that, well, we can be negotiating better deals and trying to work through those things. So making sure that the business is actually set up for that growth and understanding, okay, we've got more buying power. What can we actually save on? And I've got a list of about 15 different categories that I want to try and target, because the business has done so well with their growth side that we've got to try and make sure that the expenses match up on that as well.
And certainly something that now that we're in the new facility, obviously the cost to run that facility is a lot different than what our business was looking like 3 or 4 years ago. So, you know, so as Mark's saying, we've really concentrated just around sales and revenue growth, and probably not looked at a lot of those controlling the internal costs, and that's a big focus. And you know, that's the idea of having Marc on board now, is to assist us with knowledge and experience around that. For me, I've just been, you know, started in the produce game for wholesaling vegetables to get to this level. So now it's about streamlining the whole process and making it all work.
When you started out, Michael, did you envisage getting to this stage and this scale of business?
No, not at all. No, it's quite, when I sit and think about it, it's quite phenomenal. It's sometimes a bit sometimes you feel a bit surreal, because some of the numbers, like you're talking double-digit growth years on years on years. So, you know, when that's happening, it is quite hard, and time just flies because you're so busy all the time. Like you're 1 year into your next year, because you're just seem to be continually just trying to play catch up to keep things rolling around. So yeah.
It's amazing. You've done an excellent job. The brand and the reputation around town is stellar, and to be able to say that after such a long time, not only from the business, but you've taken on a legacy of a business and then taken it to where I struggle to think what Norm would think of it now, right? Of the business and the scale it is now, and the areas that it's touching across Australia it's huge.
Yeah, no, it is. It is a bit different. And talking about Norm, I get a phone call every now and then from Stan, who's lives up in Brisbane now in a nursing home, and I've been trying to get out of him a lot more of the history about the business.
Yeah,
and it's been great. He emails us through some stories and the build up. So we've been slowly working on the story with Stan, with what he can remember, and it's been good. So
what are some of the things that you've been receiving from him that stick in your mind as really interesting elements of the history?
Look, I didn't realise the scale of what they were at one time in Bendigo. Like I didn't realise their father had it and their had a partner, and then they had multiple shops, and so did Stan and Norm at one stage. So they spread all through the centre of Bendigo, like the talks about his shop in King Street and Myer Street and all this. I didn't realise that their retail stature through the 60s and 70s was so big. So pretty amazing their own journey, really.
It is. And what do you think possessed them to come to you as one of their competitors and say, hey, we've got a good idea?
The thing was that they owned the building in Broome Street, and I suppose continuity to keep the business going. And, part of the deal was that we stayed there, and they would own the building and we would lease the building. And I suppose, I don't know, I was only 21 at the time, so it was a little bit funny, I suppose. Pretty young to be going into business.
Yeah.
It was just what happened, and I don't really know why or why they thought to approach us at that time, but that's just the way it went.
Love it. And then following on from first taking over the business, and were you already supplying, the business was already supplying local grocers and things? Is that right? And is that where that relationship kind of started?
Yeah. So when I went in working with my father, he was a butcher and he'd been retired, and he had a couple of businesses, and I think he just got bored. So I was a builder. I'm a builder by trade, so I was building, and the start of the recession and work was a bit tight. So I was actually out of work, and he said, "Come and give me a hand for 6 months while I set this up." He said, "I can't pay you much, but well, at least it's something." So that's how I went in there. So he sort of ran the shop, but he had a few contacts in just in general in business, in hotels and places, and he spoke to people, and they give us a go. So we built our own little wholesale business out of the retail shop. So hence that's why we were doing some, and at the time Halls were doing some, and then Kings were doing some. But it's funny when we look back now, even Halls itself, it ended up over time become forming part of our business, what it is today as well.
Wow. And talking about the competitive landscape, how have you seen that change over your time in business, in food generally?
Look, one thing for us based in Bendigo here, people in small businesses have been really supportive of supporting local brands and businesses where they can, and we're really thankful, that continues today. And I can say that it's been over 30 years that some places we've supplied, over that time and still supply today. There's still customers today, although some not all the same owners. There is a couple of businesses in Bendigo that have been owners and brought off us the whole time during that journey.
Wow.
Where it becomes a bit more challenges is for us in produce, I'm talking here, would be when you look at brands now like franchises that are popping up, and a lot of
I've seen a heap of them.
Yeah, so a lot of franchises will have supply agreements.
Yeah.
And those supply agreements will be with other companies outside of obviously their local area, so they'll have a national supply agreement. So then they bring competitors into town.
Right.
So that's where that can become, because they got trucks all of a sudden moving around through the country and they need to fill them.
Yeah,
So that's been that's probably one thing that's changed quite a bit. Where if it was a McDonald's, say 40 years ago, they probably would have used a local supplier.
Yep.
But obviously just the size of these businesses, supply controlling costs for them as well.
Yeah, they're optimizing their own expenses.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but in meals, we were very early to get out in meals because we had the salad business, and meals served in supermarkets were traditionally a chicken or a chook in a hot box. Grab it on the go. We were very early to get things like scallop potatoes and roast potatoes and roast pumpkin, to accompany those things, and then eventually got into things like lasagna. So we were actually doing that prior to the emergence of what we've seen now of U Foods and My Muscle Chef. So we were actually ahead of them. Like they come in, we've seen them come in and obviously overtake in a big way. Like there's they're massive businesses today, those businesses. But in our own way, we've had our own little our own little entry into market, but we've got a lot of work to do around, obviously, now keep building the brand now that we've got the ability to be able to grow.
So tell me, go Mark.
So probably on the other side, I've obviously only new to the business, but the support for local businesses on the other side that I've seen that JL King do has been fantastic, because you see that local economy aspect really shine through. And there is a lot of suppliers and stuff that are actually coming from that local market and supporting local jobs. And I've seen that on that flip side of going, okay, our suppliers and Michael and the team have been very community focused, looking at how they can do things. Like they've got the fresh fruit stuff that goes through the schools. They've got the Harcourt fires and things like that. So they supported some meals down there to when the community needed it. And that community focus, it's one of those things in business that not everyone actually thinks about. And to have that as part of the core of what the business is about is really important. And it shows that like you get that back in spades. Like we're supporting a lot of the local businesses around food, so that we're getting the fresh produce and that in, but we're also getting that back in regards to the suppliers side of things as well. So it's that real economy and that ecosystem that works really well.
Yeah, well, when you get to the scale of business that you are, then there's so much opportunity and ability to do lots more things that are a bit peripheral to your main, business. And it sounds like you've had a heart for community for a while. Tell me about a couple of those things that Mark mentioned about the fresh fruit.
Yeah, the fresh fruit program's been great. Been set up by Mick McKern, and then he brought in a lot of his own supplies, but it continues to grow and grow and grow. I forget the number that's actually now gone out in the last 10 years. It's actually phenomenal what's been donated at no cost into all schools all over the region. So each week they all receive, and it's tons. It's hundreds of tons of fruit that's been donated, and it's been one that we've been passionate about help and support where we can. So we'll look after all the distribution into the schools for the guys.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's been a great one to be involved with. We more recently partnering and doing some sponsorship with Bendigo. That's obviously just a fantastic initiative. But we do multiple sponsorships with many sporting clubs, including the Braves, the Spirit, as well. Over the years, I don't know. There's been a lot. Obviously, more recently, we do one of the major sponsors with the McKean McGregor the Health Foundation,
Yep, the ball.
the ball, which has been another big, another really big thing to be involved with, and I think that what that's done and the money that's raised to date is just been an amazing result.
We've got listeners from all over Australia and internationally. Let's put a little bit of meat around some of these initiatives that locals would know about, but anyone further afield in regional Australia would not have a clue what we're talking about. For example, the McKean-McGregor Ball, what kind of scale is that, and how are you involved in supporting it?
Yeah, so we just came on as a platinum sponsor, and what we do is we do a sponsorship, and then we also do the supply, because now you're serving 900 people. The stadium are doing a fantastic job at the amount of meals they have to prepare, but it really does bring 900 people from the business community of Bendigo come together for one night, to all put in, to raise valuable funds for our hospital and more importantly around the cancer, wellness centre and so on. So, we're seeing, last year I think over 250. I think it's been going for 4 years. You're probably talking, you're not far off $1 million. So it's just such a great initiative that the guys have done. But it just goes to show, businesses coming together as one and for one goal and what can actually be achieved. So.
How important, Mark, you spoke about the importance of community support and how it runs through the veins at JL King. How important, in your experience in business, has the community connections and support outside of the business been for the operations you've been involved in and now?
Yeah, look, it's critical because when you sit there and look at, I'll give you an example, Monday, we had the power outage and we had to get tradies in. Michael was on the phone at 2 a.m. Monday morning, ringing up these tradies to try and get them in to help get our operation back up and running.
Wow.
So that sort of response, you wouldn't get that if you weren't dealing with locals and sort of getting that really good atmosphere from that side. But it is critical because if you look at your supports for your business, no matter what business you're in, it's really important to sit there and go, okay, who are the good people around me that are going to help me get out of something if something happens? And by having those supports there, and if you're supporting them at the good times, they'll support you at the bad times. So, and that's I've seen that from many businesses I've been involved with. That they'll help you and you're able to repay that when you can as well.
It's pretty cool to have this capability in your business here in Bendigo. Has there ever been a moment where you thought, look, wouldn't it be just easier if we were somewhere else and we were closer to distribution networks? Or have you ever thought why regional and what's been your thinking there?
Yeah, so when we were starting the process of the build of the new facility, we looked at the time, and still nearly is we supply more prepared food into Queensland than what we do in Victoria.
Wow.
And look, probably because the product we produce is, a lot of salads, and there's also a lot of meals, grab and go convenience food, and especially during our winter here, a lot of people are in Queensland moving around, and convenience is a big factor of what goes on up there. So we spoke to the Queensland government, and there was discussions around potentially some opportunities around some grants to build up there.
Yeah.
Look, to be honest though, what we know is what we know. We know we love Bendigo. We're really passionate about, being here. Never moved out of Bendigo. Never lived anywhere else. So, And look, to be honest, we started as a fruit and vegetable wholesaler, and we only got to where we have by the people that supported us, and they were the people that are Bendigo businesses, all those years ago and through the time. Otherwise, without them, we can't grow. So we can't really thank our customers enough for the support they've shown and loyalty over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And how good is it to see all of the JL King and Simply Tasty vans and trucks going around?
Yeah.
Like they're just everywhere. Like
They are everywhere.
It's amazing. Like in the time you sort of just notice them and they just pop up everywhere. And the number of runs that are being done on a daily basis, going out to support all of the whole regional areas, like right up to Deniliquin and out to Minyip and Rapanyip and those sort of areas. So that the guys are out there and delivering on a daily basis, making sure that people get their fresh fruit and vegetables. And it's really important to help support all of those local communities as well.
Yeah. Do you have any numbers around scale of output or, I mean, we've heard headcount, but like, and reach? You've mentioned a couple of very wide places a long way away that you supply. But what sort of scale are we talking in terms of production out the door?
Yeah, look, last December was probably our busiest month. So every year we continue to grow. We in 1 week I think they'd produced around 131 or 2,000 tonne of meals in over a 5-day period. So that's probably as good as it gets for us.
Yeah, that's a lot.
At the moment, but we're keen to obviously see that grow substantially still. So so the scalability, maybe a couple 100 tonne of meals a week, which equivalent to anywhere from so quite a bit, like 1 million meals a week, something around there.
It's pretty crazy when you're throwing out those numbers, hey?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing, though, when you look at the market as well for it, there is a lot of opportunity to grow, and there's so when you look at contracts and those sort of things, it's been able to help the business grow, but as well as building the own brand of the Simply Tasty, because the food, if you taste it, it's like a chef actually prepared it. So it is that sort of higher quality than you would normally get from a processed food. So that's why the importance of having the chefs on board is to make sure that you get that output to say, okay, I'd be happy to eat that at home. Yeah. So you sit there and have that higher quality, and that's why the brand is there, is to make sure that people know that we stand behind it. And yes, we're not going to get it right all the time, but we try and get it right as much as we can. And it's important that we put out something that we're proud of. And I know that looking at the range, it's such a diverse range. I've only got through about, I think I'm up to 8 different dishes now, so I've still got a bit to go, but I am trialing like a couple of products every week just to see how it goes. But they're absolutely delicious. My wife's favourite was the prawn fettuccine. She absolutely loved it. It was a beautiful dish.
Hey there, sorry to interrupt, but that is actually the end of part 1 of our conversation. The next episode is already released though, so click next and enjoy the completion of our conversation with Michael Robertson and Marc Smith from JL King & Co.